Hello everybody, and today I'll be doing a Gym Leader Challenge deck profile on the Stygian Kingdom deck by Flarecrow. The main idea of the deck is the Nidoking with the Enthusiastic King ability, where if you have the Nidoqueen in play, you ignore all energy and the costs of the attacks used by the Nidoking, so it can use its Venomous Impact for free, which typically costs 4 energy and does 190 damage, plus poisons your opponent's active Pokemon. The Nidoqueen isn't too bad itself either, 170 HP like the Nidoking. Queen Press for Dark and a Colorless does 90 damage, and then during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from basic Pokemon. So in certain matchups, this can completely wall out your opponent's deck. And then Lunge Out can be used in a pinch. 160 for 3 isn't terrible. What's great about both of these evolutionary lines is both of the Nidorans have under 60 HP, so they can be grabbed with Buddy Buddy Poffin, and then Nidorino and Nidorina both have 90 HP, so they can both be grabbed off of Level Ball. So as some backup attackers, we have Weavile with the Rule of Evil, where the attack does 60 damage to each Pokemon that has an ability, both yours and your opponent's. So the idea is this deck doesn't play too many ability Pokemon, so you can send up the Weavile either early game or late game after they've taken out all your ability Pokemon and do some big spread finishing game style KOs. And then this is also a very good evolutionary line because both the Weavile and the Sneasel have free retreat, so it gives you a bit more pivot option before you decide what you want to do with your turn. The other stage 1 attacker is Galarian Weezing. This is a great card because in this deck you're trying to set up two stage 2 Pokemon on the board at once, and you can only play one copy of Rare Candy. So the Galarian Weezing lets you kind of sit behind it with the neutralizing gas, where as long as it's in the active spot, your opponent's Pokemon in play have no abilities except for neutralizing gas. And then Severe Poison can also apply some pressure to your opponent. One darkness, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. You put 4 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon during Pokemon checkup. So this can apply a decent amount of pressure. Your opponent won't have any abilities. You can slowly evolve into your guys. You can still use your abilities to draw cards and such and establish your board state while slowing your opponent down and potentially taking some KOs with severe poison. And then the coughing is great too because it has the Ascension attack, where for one darkness you search a deck for a card that evolves from it and put it onto the coughing to evolve it. So if you go second and you can get the coughing in your active spot with an energy on it, you can go Ascension and ability lock your opponent by turn 2. So you can shut them off really early. You can maybe prevent them from having a turn 2 play at all. And then the final attacker is Hoopa with the Assault Gate, where if this Pokemon didn't move from the bench to the active spot during this turn, this attack does nothing, and then it's not affected by weakness. This is a great, very good early game attacker, especially with the amount of switch cards that the deck plays. If you can go attached to Hoopa, switch card, you can potentially take a KO turn for first turn going second, and potentially win the game off of a donk if your opponent doesn't get a very good start. Next up, we got some support with Liepard with the trade. You discard a card from your hand to draw 2 cards. Great, lets you grow your hand, especially in this deck where you want to be kind of comboing these stage 2s together. You can build up your hand while ability locking your opponent, and then slowly evolve into both of your Nidoking and Nidoqueen. And then Purloin isn't too bad either. You can discard with cleaning up, you can discard a Pokemon tool card from one of your opponent's Pokemon. It can come in clutch in some situations if they have an HP boosting tool. You can remove it when they're over the amount of HP that they normally have and they're living off of HP from the tool. You can remove it and have your Purloin take a free KO. And then Zoroark is also very good with the Phantom Transformation. Once during your turn, you can choose a Stage 1 Pokemon, accepting the Zoroark from your discard pile, and switch it with the Zoroark after you discard all the cards from the Zoroark. So this can be very good with the, again, 2 stage 2 lines. If you choose to rare candy into, for example, Nidoking, you can Zoroark into Nidorino so that if they KO your Nidoking, all you have to do is recover the Nidoking, and then you can immediately evolve it into from Nidorino into Nidoking, so you never miss a beat with your attackers. The trainers, this is Pokemon Search. You want to have a decent amount because, again, you're trying to get 2 stage 2 set up. So you want to have a decent amount of both basic search and evolution search. Evo Soda, search a deck for a card that evolves from one of your Pokemon in play and put it onto that Pokemon. Evolution Incense gets an evolution Pokemon. Level Ball gets a Pokemon with 90 HP or less. Ultra Ball, you discard 2 to search your deck for any Pokemon. Nest Ball is any basic and you put it on your bench. And then Buddy Buddy Poffin is 2 basic Pokemon with 70 HP or less. Buddy Buddy Poffin's great. It can get you both of your Nidorans. Level Ball again gets you Nidorino or Nidorina. And then Evolution Incense and Evo Soda can help you finish out either setting up your other stage ones or getting Nidoking and Nidoqueen established. Other items, you have Max Potion. This is very cool for a combo that I'll show later, but the because you don't have any energy with the Nidoking, you can just use Max Potion to heal all the damage off. And the downside to Max Potion is discard all energy from that Pokemon. But with the Nidoking, it doesn't need any energy to attack, so you just heal it all the way for free. Town Map is also in the deck. You turn all your prize cards face up, and they remain face up for the rest of the game. This helps you pick and choose what you want from your prizes, and this is especially helpful if one of your Nidoking or Nidoqueen line pieces are prized, or just another important piece that you want in a specific matchup. You can play Town Map, take a KO, and take that specific piece to continue establishing your game plan. Tag Call is good because you play 2 tag team supporters that I'll show later, but this just lets you search your deck for up to 2 tag team cards, reveal them and put them into your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. More consistency. Escape Rope is a switch card. Each player switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. Another way to get Hoopa into the active. Rare Candy's in here because you play 2 stage 2s, kind of a no brainer. Dark Patch is in here as just a bit more acceleration. If you end up discarding Dark Energy with, for example, Ultra Ball, you can attach it from your discard pile to one of your bench dog Pokemon. You can attach it to the Weezing to set up another attacker. You can attach it to the Nidoqueen to attack in one turn if you go Dark Patch and manual attachment. You can hit with the protection from basics attack and kind of wall your opponent out that way to buy you some more time. Finally, just some general staples. Night Stretcher, put a Pokemon or basic energy card from your discard pile into your hand. Bit of Recovery. Professor's Letter lets you search a deck for up to 2 basic energy, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Get some energy into your hand. This deck doesn't really play too many energy, so having more outs is great. Field Blower, kind of a staple in GLC, just lets you remove 2 in any combination of Stadium and Tool cards from play, both yours and your opponent's. So you can remove a stadium that your opponent has in play that's causing trouble for you. You can move some tools from their side of the board. Just a really good card. Trainer's Mail lets you look at the top 4 and you choose the trainer card you find there, except Trainer's Mail, and put it into your hand. It's very solid, lets you continue digging through the deck for the turn 1 play that I'll discuss later. And then VS Seeker, put a supported card from your discard pile into your hand. So for the trainers, we have Guzman as the first one. This is a really, really big card in this deck because it lets you search your deck for a stadium card and put it into your hand. Or you can discard 2 other cards when you play it from your hand, and if you do, you also search your deck for a tool and a special energy. So this is really cool because it can really combo off and get you a really, really established board state turn 1 going second. Arven kind of does the same thing. This deck does play Technical Machine Evolution, which I'll discuss later, but both Guzman Hala and Arven can find Technical Machine Evolution, so they help you get set up. Green's Exploration, like I mentioned earlier, this deck doesn't play too many abilities, so you can only play greens if you have no ability Pokemon in play, and you search your deck for up to 2 trainer cards. Lets you get either supporter for next turn, 2 items to establish your board state this turn, just general good supporter. Piers lets you get an energy card and a dark Pokemon, reveal them and put them into your hand. Lets you get a bit set up. Again, this deck doesn't play too many energy, and Piers can search for special energy too, which is important. Gloria lets you search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon that don't have a rule box, which is irrelevant in GLC, so this just reads search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon and put them onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. This is great. Again, you want to establish a lot of evolving Pokemon, so being able to get 3 of them down for just 1 card is very good. Next up, you want some draw cards. Marnie and Iono both function as hand disruption and some draw. Marnie is each player shuffles and puts on the bottom of their deck, and then your opponent gets 4 cards and you get 5 cards. Iono is each player shuffles their hand, puts it on the bottom of their deck. Your opponent and you both draw cards equal to your remaining prize cards. So if your opponent starts running away with the game, You can Iona them down to 2 or 3 cards, and then stage a comeback with your big Nidoking. Cynthia lets you shuffle your hand, draw 6 cards. Very solid draw, especially Dark only has Lipard to draw with, so Cynthia is just a good draw supporter. Bird Keeper functions as both a draw 3 and switch your active Pokemon in front of your bench Pokemon, so it's more draw, and it's another way to get Hoopa into the active for a turn 1 donk. Peonia, also a very good card. Put up to 3 prize cards into your hand. Then for each prize card put into your hand in this way, put a card from your hand face down as a prize card. So if you know that some pieces that you need are prized, you can play this and hopefully hit those pieces that you need, and they'll go straight into your hand. And then you can put cards that you don't necessarily need at the moment back into your prizes, and that also helps you kind of map what you want to take as your prizes, because now you know what half of your prizes are. Next up, just some Gusting cards, Boss's Orders and Guzma. Boss's Orders, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to their active spot, and then Guzma, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon, and then if you do, you switch one of your bench Pokemon with your active Pokemon. This is pretty good. Again, another pivot option for Hoopa, and this is also letting Hoopa take out a specific target that you want that maybe could be problematic in the future. You can just Guzma with Hoopa to take out that specific Pokemon early. Clara for a bit more recovery, choose one or both. Put up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, and put up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. We don't play too much recovery, but ideally we don't need to recover too much if our Nidoking and Nidoqueen can carry us through the mid to late game. Mallow and Lana, another tag team supporter. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, another way to get Hoopa into the active. When you play this card, you can discard 2 other cards from your hand. If you do, you heal 120 damage from the Pokemon you move to the bench. So if you move a damaged Nidoking to the bench, you can heal it and then put up Hoopa to do 90 damage for free. For 1 energy, I guess. But Teammates is also in here. You can only play this card if one of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, and you search your deck for just up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. That's very great for like a revenge combo. If they take something out, you can go grab Nidoking Rare Candy or Nidoking Nidoqueen if you have both Nidorina and Nidorano online. Just very easy, very good combo piece. So tools, EXP share is good, lets you keep some energy in play. I mentioned earlier that we don't play too much recovery, so you can kind of keep the energy flowing when your active Pokemon is knocked out from an attack from your opponent's Pokemon. You can move a basic energy from that Pokemon to the Pokemon this card is attached to. Luxurious Cape, if the Pokemon this card is attached to doesn't have a rule box, which is again irrelevant in GLC, gets 100 more HP. So this can make your Nidoking have 270 HP, or your Galarian Weezing, for example, have 230. So you can just make really big, beefy guys that your opponent has to deal with. However, when the Pokemon that Luxurious Cape is attached to gets knocked out, they take an additional prize card. So as long as that Pokemon can take 3 prizes, it will have made its worth, or even just 2 prizes. Like with the Galarian Weezing, it having 230 HP while item or ability locking your opponent can be really brutal for them to have to get through. Floatstone, the Pokemon this card is attached to, has no retreat cost. Another pivot option, another way to get Hoopa into the active spot. Technical Machine Evolution. I really, really like this card, and I want to see more decks playing it that can. It's a tool card, and you attach it to one of your Pokemon, and if it's attached at the end of your turn, you discard it. It lets the Pokemon that the card is attached to use the evolution attack. For 1 Colorless, you choose up to 2 of your bench Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from each of those Pokemon, and put it onto that Pokemon to evolve it. So this can get you from a board state of both Nidorans to Nidorino and Nidorina, and then next turn you can go Nidoking and Nidoqueen. So you don't need to play Rare Candy at all, and you can save it for a sticky situation later down the line. Artisan also helps get basic Pokemon in play once during each player's turn. That player may search their deck for a basic Pokemon that doesn't have a rule box and put it on their bench. Again, the no rule box text is irrelevant. Parallel City is also in here because so this card you can play it either way when you play it. The way that it faces is the player that it affects. So if you have the red side pointing towards you, you are only affected by the red side. If you have the blue side facing towards you, you're only affected by the blue side. So the red side doesn't really matter. The blue side is the main reason that this card is being played, because the player that the blue side is facing can only have 3 benched Pokemon at a given time. And that's very strong, and it would not be great if Parallel City got played against us, because we want to have 2 stage 2s in play, our draw supporter, a backup attacker, and probably a free retreat pivot. So we want to have a decently wide board, and being limited to 4 Pokemon in play total isn't a great thing. So if we play Parallel City first, then our opponent can't play Parallel City because you can't play a stadium if there is already a stadium with the same name in play. So if you put Parallel City down first, you force your opponent to find either another stadium or their field blower, and then they would have to field blower into Parallel City. So I just really like Parallel City in decks that like to have a more wide board. So energy, I mentioned, doesn't play too much energy, only 5 basic darkness energy. And then capture energy, which as long as it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides a colorless energy. And then when you attach it from your hand, you search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it on your bench. This again helps you get more Pokemon into play turn one. And then hiding dark energy, the as long as it's attached to a Pokemon, it provides dark energy, and then the dark Pokemon that this card is attached to has no retreat cost. Another way to get Hoopa into the active, another way to let something be a pivot. I think it's just really cool to have a special energy that can give a Pokemon for retreat. So a couple of the combos that I was talking about earlier, Guzma and Hala specifically. Now this card gets you a stadium, and then if you discard 2 other cards, a Pokemon tool and a special energy. So this can get you Artisan, Capture Energy, and Technical Machine Evolution. So what you do is you put Artisan into play. You get one of the Nidorans. Then you capture energy for the other Nidoran, and you attach that to your active Pokemon. And then you attach Technical Machine Evolution to your active Pokemon, and you immediately have both of your Nidorans evolved into Nidorina and Nidorino. Or if you prized one of them, you can get Liepard, you can get Galarian Weezing, you can get Weavile. It's just a really cool combo that you just have to have one supporter card, and you can get 2 stage 1 Pokemon in play instantly. And I think it fits especially well into decks that want to have 2 stage 2 Pokemon in play like this one. Next up is Hoopa. I mentioned all the different ways that we have to move Hoopa into the active: Bird Keeper, Guzma, Malolana, Escape Rope, Floatstone, and Hiding Dark. There's just so many ways to get into the active that you have a decently high chance of actually just winning the game turn one going second by just donking your opponent. And if you're not winning, you're still taking a prize card and applying a bunch of early pressure, because there's so many ways to switch, which means there's so many ways to both get Hoopa into the active and get Hoopa out of the active so you can get him back into the active and keep reusing Assault Gate. Finally, the Max Potion Luxurious Cape combo. So Galarian Weezing and Nidoking can both be very difficult for your opponent to deal with. 130 and 170 HP doesn't seem like too much, but when you attach Luxurious Cape, that's 230 and 270 respectively. Now, on Nidoking specifically, Enthusiastic King makes it so it doesn't need energy to use its attacks. So Max Potion just becomes a free heal all damage. So if you have a 270 HP Pokemon that you can have a one-time heal all damage from it, your opponent has to KO it in one hit, or you're probably taking 3 KOs with it, which lets it pay for itself, with the downside of Luxurious Cape being it gives up an extra prize card. The Galarian Weezing, it can also be very annoying with, because you do 230 HP on it, and then you can Severe Poison to continue chipping away, and then when your opponent finally does get a hit out or gets close to KOing your Weezing, you can go Max Potion, heal all the damage off. You do discard the energy, but it's just a 1 energy attack cost, so you can just attach another one and keep Severe Poisoning, and you can really slow your opponent down that way, and maybe even just win the game outright through just sheer ability lock and damage pressure from the poison. So thanks for watching. I'll leave a couple links in the description. The deck list to the Stygian Kingdom. I'll leave the official Gym Leader Challenge website, which is a great place to go and check out the basics of the format, and it also has some great starter deck lists. And then the Cardboard Warriors website is a great place to go to see more deck lists, and they also have a great deck builder that you can use to post your own deck lists. Again, thank you to Flarecrow for letting me use this deck and creating it. I think it's a really fun deck. And the reason that I made this is because Double Colorless and Twin Energy recently just got banned. So this is a deck this is a darkness deck that doesn't need either of those. And before, a lot of darkness decks hinged on Guzzlord being able to use both of those. But now that they're banned, there's more room to play these kinds of decks that don't need either of those energies. So thanks for watching.